What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Manta XP, or if it's your first time, welcome. So today we're going to be doing a review on what many have considered as one of the best games of the year, and I definitely consider it in my best games of the year. It's fighting Tears of the Kingdom right now, so it's definitely going to be on my best games of the year at the end of the year video that I'm going to do. So please make sure y'all do look forward to that. So before we get started, I do want to announce a giveaway that we're doing. So this is the first giveaway on the channel. So right here we have the Nintendo 64 controller for the Nintendo Switch Online. If you do have the expansion pass, you can play Nintendo 64 games in style with this. So all you got to do to win this is make sure you do subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video, and comment down below what your favorite Nintendo 64 game is. And then once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will be giving this out. So please make sure you do that, and we'll be giving that away. But let's get into what we're going to be reviewing today. So today we're going to be talking about Sea of Stars. So Sea of Stars comes from Sabotage Studio, which is a Canadian company and developer out in Quebec, and they're most known for their game The Messenger that came out in 2018. Now, I never played The Messenger, but I did hear about it. The physical version of the game goes for anywhere from $200 to $300 on the aftermarket now, so it's definitely a big success, and a lot of people did like it. The storytelling, different art direction, kind of that platforming type. But Sea of Stars was announced just 2 years after The Messenger came out in, I think it was March 2020, and a lot of people are like, whoa, what is this? Because it's completely different from The Messenger. Sea of Stars is really a love letter to the old school JRPGs from Super Nintendo back in the 90s, such as Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Breath of Fire, Illusion of Gaia. All those games, Super Mario RPG, all these games had such an influence on the studio, and I think they really nailed it. Now, I grew up in the 90s, but I wasn't playing those JRPGs back then, so me kind of going in with kind of a blind eye, I was thoroughly impressed with this game and everything that it did. So of course, Sabotage being a small indie studio, I think they have no more than 30 employees when they were making this game. So they did have a, Kickstarter and a bunch of goals that they were going to have. I did contribute to it, but I contributed this year. So once I saw the demo from the Nintendo Switch Direct back in February, I was like, whoa, what is this? So I decided to play it. I put in some money so I could get a physical copy, and because they knew that they were going to ship out the physical copies a little later, they did do a digital version for the people to wait on. So we will be getting those physical copies in regular retailers by I Am 8-Bit. They're going to be publishing the game, so you can get a physical version on the Switch, the PS4, PS5, or I think it upgrades to the PS5 and the Xbox Series console. So not only that, they did something that I don't think we've seen any game do yet, which was they secured the bag. They got the bag from Xbox to be on Game Pass day one, and they also got it from Sony to be on PlayStation Plus day one. So listen, there's so many ways to play this game, whether you want to get it digitally, physically, get it through your subscription service, through Steam. You need to play this game. Now let's get into the story of the game. What is, kind of pushing the characters forward? What is the narrative going on? So you have these solstice warriors who are born during the solstice. They were born, I think, 1 year after each other, which is like a rare occurrence. But you have Zale and Valere, who represent the sun and the moon respectively, and you kind of play through the game from the beginning. You kind of see them growing up, go through their training, things like that, and you're introduced to their best friend, who is the heart of this game. And I say that like not lightly. Like Garl, their friend Garl, is probably one of the greatest characters in video game history. Like, I'm not exaggerating with that. It may seem hyperbole to some people, but Garl was their training and doing their warrior stuff, and he's just like positive and regular human, and hey, come on guy, try this, these cookies I made and stuff like that. Like, he's just like, it's such a heartwarming part of the game. And when Zale and Valera realize like they have to go stop this evil alchemist who's known as the Fleshmancer, he's trying to bring back these earth eaters and dwellers, which can only be fought with solstice magic, so they're the only ones that can stop them. Garl's ready to jump in. He's like, hey, I'll go with you guys. People doubt him and everything like that, but we see through every step of the story where Garl is not just the heart and soul, he's kind of the brains with a lot of this stuff. Like, people think, oh, we can't do this, or how are we going to do that? And Garl's just always positive. He's like, oh, I got an idea, let's try this. Or he literally teaches us, I don't know if it's like a fourth wall kind of thing, but he literally teaches his friends how to cook. So in a RPG game, obviously you need to cook to recover health and mana points and things like that. Like, you literally learn as the video game character how to learn how to cook from the video game character. Like, it's pretty cool. And throughout the story you meet a bunch of great characters, so I recommend talking to everybody. I know RPGs, there's a lot of characters, NPCs and things like that, but some people tell you some pretty cool information. Sometimes it leads to different unlockables and mini side quests and things like that. But throughout the game, you'll actually be able to play as 6 different playable characters. So we know the main 3, which is Zale, Valere, and Garl, but you'll actually get Sarai, who Sabotage actually announced on their Twitter too, so it's not really a spoiler. But then there's 2 other characters you'll also get to play with. So there's a lot to, you know, different abilities, different stories. Everybody has their own background, their own history that you really discover as you're playing the game. And then to really bring the story together, you have a character named Teeks. So anytime you find special artifacts, when you sit around a campfire, you know, you can talk to different characters, they'll have different interactions. But when you talk to Teeks and you show her an artifact, she's kind of like a historian. So she'll tell you the lore behind that artifact. You'll learn more about the world, how everything comes together, kind of like background story on the world and things that aren't necessarily just told as you're playing the game. So I definitely recommend talking to Teeks as much as you can. It gives you a better appreciation for everything you're doing in the game. It kind of brings everything all together for you. So now let's talk about the gameplay, which is the most important part of the game. So the gameplay is pretty much not standard RPG, but turn-based, but they have a twist to it. So just like with Chain Echoes, where they had the overdrive system, with Sea of Stars, they have a new system of fighting where obviously it's turn-based, as I said, but you also have these 6 different elements, which all of them aren't revealed in the, you know, demos and everything. But, you know, in the beginning, you're going to have sword, blunt, solar, and then lunar, kind of these locks on the characters or the enemies. So when you attack them, you can actually break these locks and either lower their attack power that they're going to do to you, or if you break all the locks, they actually won't be able to attack you at all. So you'll actually get like free turns where you can go and end up not ever taking a hit in the battle. Now, that is kind of hard to do, especially in the later fights, but that's where the strategy comes in. That's what I liked about the game. So you also build up a combo meter, as well as you build your MP points, which are mana points to do different special magic attacks and things like that. But when you're doing that, you kind of got to think ahead, right? So sometimes you'll see, okay, this character has 2 blunts. That sounded crazy. 2 blunts, locks, and like a solar lock or something. And you're like, okay. The enemy, when you attack with a regular attack, the enemy drops these little like shards that you can actually absorb and do a magic based attack. So now you say, okay, they got 2 blunt locks, a solar lock. What am I going to do? If I don't have any mana points for Zale, so I can't do any solar attacks, what do? You could attack with Valere, or you could attack with Garl. The enemy will drop these shards, and then the next turn you can absorb them, do a stronger magic attack with Zale, and now it has that solar power attached to it, break the solar lock, and now that enemy, either you kill them or they'll completely just not be able to move. So you kind of got to think ahead of time, or maybe, oh, if I swap this character out, attack, then I'll build up my combo meter. I can then do a combo to break 2 locks or even 3 locks, depending on if you have different abilities going on. So it really turns into like it is turn-based, but it turns into a little bit more of a strategy RPG in a sense. So you could be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead of how you're going to actually go through the battles. The combos are great too. The combos are pretty much 2 characters combine, as it sounds, and do like a special attack. Now these combos you can find throughout the world. So as you're traveling throughout the world, you'll find different unlockables. You'll find meals and recipes and recipes to cook different meals that do different, you know, status effects, give you more health, things like that. You'll find these quiz packs. You'll find these music packs and that will play different songs, which we'll get to later. You'll find in different combos and things like that, and different weapons, everything. So there's a lot to really find throughout the game. I think there's 187 chests, if I'm not mistaken. So there's plenty of things to find, and they really do affect the game. Like, they make you want to actually explore every area to try and get through the game. And just like with a bunch of different RPG games, specifically the Mario and Luigi Saga series of games, there's a time-based system when you're attacking. Not time as in literal seconds, but timing as you press as your character attacks or block. So if you attack and you press A at the certain amount at the moment of attack, you'll actually get another attack or just a stronger version of that attack. So this comes in handy, especially with certain special skills such as Valaire's moon ring, which is you've seen in a million trailers, where you're just reflecting the moon ring back and back and back. If you get your timing down good, you can do up to, I think someone did 200 or something crazy. There's an achievement for doing more than 25, but yeah, the timing really matters. So you can end up, when we talked about the locks earlier, when you time, you can end up breaking more locks because you're attacking another time. So learning how to time that, learning how to kind of anticipate the character's moves, especially the enemies when you're trying to block, is kind of necessary in this game. Like, it makes a world of difference to be able to get that timing down. And one of the really satisfying ways to know you're getting the timing down is there's these things called relics in the game. So the relics can either make the game easier or harder for you. So the game, as its pace goes, I think it does a really good job of you getting the right amount of experience points through just battling normal. The difficulty kind of it elevates as the game goes on, and it's not anything. I don't think it needs I need an easy mode or anything like that. But if there's certain parts of the game you want to change, you can activate a relic. So what a relic can do is, some of them, it's low-key baby mode a little bit. Like, there's one where every time after you finish a fight, it restores all your health and everything. There's one where it's guaranteed you'll do a double hit instead of timing. There's stuff like that, but then there's some challenging ones too, where it takes away like 95% of your health, but if you're able to block, it does 0 damage or something along those lines. So you can kind of mix and match these relics to kind of, satisfy how you want the game to go. Like for me, I had the one with the timing stars, and then one I had was like, it made items in the shop cheaper, which to me isn't really it's kind of unnecessary, because like you can always find stuff and sell and then buy something, or like go and grind and then get gold and then buy stuff. So to me, I didn't feel like I was really playing it on like an easier mode by having that activated, you know what I'm saying? But then when it came to the shops, the other thing I liked about the game was the quality of life option. So one really good one is if you got a new item and you want to equip it, and you bought it from the shop, it'll then automatically be like, oh, do you want to sell your old item? Because in this game, realistically, once you get a new weapon, you pretty much never use the old one again, which I liked in this game, because only certain characters could use certain weapons. Only certain characters could wear certain armor, things like that. So it's kind of like stuff just building up in your bag and stuff like that. Get a new weapon. Hey, you want to sell the old one? There you go. Or this will add these stats on it. There you go. Now, one of the things I didn't like when it comes to quality of life is that there's one of these items that you can equip that shows you how much health that the enemies have, not including the bosses. The bosses, it never tells you. And to me, that's kind of like, why? Like, why do I have to waste a slot to see that? Now, some people may say, like, why does it matter? But when I talked about strategy earlier, you might see it. Let's say you don't have that equipped and you don't know how much health that character has or that enemy has. You see, oh, they got 3 locks, so I'm going to waste a skill and some mana points trying to break the locks, but they might have like 16 HP left or 2 HP left, and you could just kill them with a regular attack. So that's where it's kind of like, I don't know if that was an intentional design choice. I don't know if that's a callback to an older JRPG that I don't know about, but I wasn't too sure why they did that. And then of course there's the regular, JRPG tropes or, elements that are always in the game, such as fishing. Fishing system's pretty cool, and you can always, just rack up fish, cook them, get a lot of food and different recipes and meals and things like that. There's also this new mini game called Wheels. So Wheels is a game that you can look in the instructions of how to play. I only played it once, but it's pretty much like a game within a game. So if you go into the little like tavern, like rest area in each town, they have a Wheels game and someone there playing that you play against, so you can get an achievement if you beat all of them. But it's pretty much like you do like a roulette style, and depending on what you get out of the roulette, it'll either you attack or you build up your defense, and then you beat the other person once you attack them directly and get through their defense enough times. So it's pretty cool. A lot of people like it. I think you actually do meet the creator of Wheels in the game, so not trying to spoil who that is or anything, but that's part of the game as well. So I think that was pretty cool that they included that. And now let's talk about the sound design and the soundtrack, because there's no RPG that is complete without a banger soundtrack. And let me tell you something, Sea of Stars has a banger soundtrack. So composed mostly by Eric W. Brown, who also was the main composer on The Messenger. You also had the legendary contributions from Yasunori Mitsuda. If you don't know, he did do the soundtrack and songs on Chrono Trigger as well as Xenoblade 3 and other games along the year. So he's a veteran in the game, and he did around 10 songs. And listen, I think it was 8 months ago, somewhere around there, we got to hear his first song for Coral Cascades. And just listen to this song real quick. Like, this song is like, it epitomizes the exact environment of where this song is playing. And I think that was the most important part of this game. There are songs that are playing and you can just identify where you're at. Like, you see, you know, in RPGs, when you're in your hometown or the main hub, there's a certain calming, relaxing song. When it comes to these water levels, is just like, it just brought me back to like aquatic ambience in Donkey Kong Country, or, you know, Zora's Domain in Zelda, or whatever the name of the water theme is in Mario 64. Like, that song just hits. It hits so good. So it's called Serenade of Respite, and that song is great. So there are over 206 tracks on the official soundtrack. Now, of course, some of those aren't full songs. There's some that are like 5 seconds that are just little clips of songs that might play like when you get a chest or like a special situation or things like that. But all in all, the coolest thing about the sound design is that there are 3 different versions of a bunch of the main songs. And a bunch of these songs, like I said, you find music sheets throughout the world. So what those do is there's a pirate version of these songs. And what that is there's a pirate crew in the game. When you go into all the main like bar, tavern type areas or buildings in each town, they'll be playing a song. You can have them, you know, request a song for them to play, kind of like a jukebox. And so there's a pirate version of most songs, there's a daytime version of most songs, and then there's a nighttime version of most songs. And what's really cool is when you get the ability to turn the day to night, the songs just transfer over like instantly, seamlessly. Like, you can hear the difference, and it's really cool. It really sets the mood for the game. I think they really nailed it when it came to that. Some of my personal favorite songs, I had to make a list, but Across the Moorlands, I really like that as an overworld like map song. Is just, it's really good, gets you in the mood. Like the battle on, of course, the battle theme song has to be good. You're fighting so many people in a game, you gotta have a good battle song. Of course, the boss fight songs are good too, but the battle song's great. My daughter loves it too. When she hears me play, she'd be humming it to herself sometimes, so that's great. You have Broke World, Dance of a Thousand Suns, Serenade of Respite, which I mentioned earlier, and then the Mole Mason songs. That song to me just epitomizes when you get to the masonry with the moles and the underground area and the cavern and all that. That song just, like, if you didn't know where the area was and then someone showed you the area after you heard the song, you'd be like, that's exactly what that is. That song just fits so well into that area. And now I've kind of talked about, you know, what I find great about the game. I talked about little things I don't like, but there's a couple things that I didn't mention yet that I don't like. The main one for sure, like as I mentioned the abacus thing, the main thing I don't like is the travel system. Like, I'll be honest, there's a lot of it leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to revisiting areas, like an actual map of each area to know exactly where you are. Because I'll be honest, I forget a lot. Like, I have to go online and be like, hey, where's this? Like, there's certain areas that you can only get to through like a teleporter or like a special entrance that's deep in another area. It's like it's really hard to keep up with, especially if that area you're revisiting, you haven't been there since hour 6 in the game and now you're in hour 25. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's something that it's nothing they could fix now, but I think the way the map, or there isn't a map of each area, how to get around, the fast travel, like there needs to be something like that. Like, there should be I know it doesn't make sense in the game, or they could have made it make sense, but maybe travel between the campfires that you have where you rest and cook at, or something like that. I think that was my main gripe with the game. Like, I think they could have did a way better job, especially for a game this big and long pause that you kind of have to revisit and do a lot of backtracking in if you want to complete the full game. So I think that's a gripe that I definitely have with the game. And then speaking of backtracking and going back and going to old areas, let's talk about the lasting appeal of this game. So I finished the game. When I was done with it, it clocked in at 35 hours, and that was also with me, kind of doing a lot of this stuff as much as I could, or much as I wanted to, as I was playing, trying to catch all the fish and all these kind of things. So 35 hours seems to be around a lot of people's 30 to 35. But then when I wanted to get the alternate ending and finish all those side quests, ended up being the game at 46 hours. So you can see on the screen here, this is me. I did 36 out of the 42 achievements. Took me around 46 hours to beat the game and get that alternate ending. So there's definitely plenty of game here. There's a new game plus mode where you keep all your weapons and moves and everything if you want to do that. There's, like I said, 42 achievements if you want to go through and 100% all that. So you can easily spend, I'd say, probably 60 hours or more in this game if you want to get all 187 chests. Like, there's plenty to do. There's definitely plenty to do. And then thanks to the Kickstarter, Sabotage announced they do have a DLC coming. It's going to be called Throes of the Watchmaker. Now, I can't say who the Watchmaker is if you didn't play the game yet, but I'm very interested on what that DLC is going to be. I believe all backers get the DLC free, hopefully. So even if I don't get it, I'll end up paying. It's no problem with that. I'll end up doing that. But definitely excited to get that. And then included in that, the whole backer part, I forgot to mention this earlier, but if you are a backer, you actually got to get your name in the credits. I think this is me right here. I'm not sure. I don't remember what name I put for them to put. I hope this is me. But the other thing you could get if you bought a higher tier for back in the game, you're able to get your name in the crypt. And the crypt was, you could either dedicate it to yourself or like a loved one that you lost, a pet. I thought this was a really cool, thing to include in a game. So I think Sabotage, they really care about their players, their games. They put their heart and soul into it, and I thought this was really good for them to do, and a really cool like Easter egg or an extra incentive for the people that really supported the studio. It's really cool to see that. Now let's talk about final scores. So I wanted to give this game a 10 out of 10, but for a few of the reasons I mentioned, I can't. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10, but it's a reluctant 9.5. It's like, I want to give it a 10 out of 10, but listen, as small as it sounded, the traveling, the lack of mapping, the backtracking, stuff like that, is very hard for me to kind of, look over. I think they did a really good job with other quality of life aspects, but like that part is just, it was such a headache for me trying to go back and find things, and I don't remember what's here. And there's a thing that kind of helps you with that I can't really mention, but again, it's like, I don't know. I think they could have did that a lot better. But as I got an 88 overall on Metacritic, which is a little below, a 9 out of 10. So I'm definitely giving it a 9.5, and I definitely am going to give my 2 thumbs up stamp of approval for this game. So definitely go out and get it. So that pretty much does it, guys. Like I said, Sea of Stars is that love letter to JRPGs, and even though I'm not going to call it a JRPG because it's not Japanese, but it's, if you're into these style of games, or you know, watch some gameplay on it, download the demo if it's still available on Nintendo Switch or wherever. If you have Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, just download it. You already got the subscription. I definitely recommend it. It's going to be in my top 10. It's probably a top 2 game, like I said, for me all year. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, check it out. Check out Sabotage's other games, The Messenger, and look forward to what they're doing next. They already said they're working on their next game already. They got half the team working on DLC for Sea of Stars, and they got the other half working on the next game. So hopefully we won't have to wait too long for that. But that pretty much does it, guys. Don't forget, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be giving this away. So make sure you like, comment down below your favorite Nintendo 64 game. We'll be giving away this brand new controller for Nintendo Switch. So that's about it. Appreciate you guys. Hope this video wasn't too long. There's a bunch of stuff I couldn't, you know, really get to because it'd be spoilers, and I didn't want to just ruin the game for everybody. So, but that's about it. Thank you again. Like, subscribe as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.